I guess part two to the whole church trauma thing. But one of the other reasons why I freaking call it cult like activity is how deeply growing up this way was just absolutely fucking controlling. And in the worst way fucking possible. Like I had no autonomy over my body. My body literally belonged to this man that didn't look like me, that was plastered all over the place, which it didn't make sense to me why the symbol was the thing that he expired on, which that kind of imagery for a child is a bit traumatizing. So, yeah, that was another thing. But, that's the least traumatizing thing, I guess, of all the other things that they did. But another thing that was like kind of traumatic for me was at one point, like I was really heavy into anime, and it was like literally the only thing keeping me alive. And so was the music that I was listening to. And it was like a lot of rock and grunge, and Evanescence was huge at that time. And I had whatever money that I had gotten for any kind of like birthday, holiday, or just like in passing, which usually was just like a couple of dollars that I would save and save for a special occasion or whatever. I always had some little bit of money some random way, right? So I would use it to buy me anime stuff because, it made me happy. It's one of the only things that made me happy because I was basically a slave for my whole family. And going back to the video where I talked about like being unalive for not believing in God, I had a lot of burdens, and so escaping was my only means of coping. Because honestly, with being unalived for saying yes to believing in God, I almost wished that that would be a scenario at one point so that I could just say yes for myself, so that I could just end the torture, because that's what it was to me. It was fucking torture. But yeah, growing up that way just felt like fucking torture to me. But the other thing that was like really big for me was the fact that all the music and the anime and the shows that I was watching and stuff, I I remember being in tears because I was being told that I wasn't going to be allowed to read, watch, or listen to anything that wasn't Christian stuff because it's demonic. And I was shattered. That broke me so fucking deep that I fucking hated everything. And honestly, I had already like very much hated life before that point. I'll talk about my hatred of life from an early age later, but I really hated life already. The only thing that was like my version of therapy that I could afford was just like anime and music. It was all I had because the words to the songs that I was singing along to were the only semblance that somebody felt the same fucking way I did. It was the only thing that I had that made me feel like I wasn't alone. Like, even my friends could not relate to the shit that I went through. And some of them were Christian too, but their people were as strict as mine. And they didn't have that whole being unalived for saying yes, or yeah, whatever. But yeah, I literally was at that point where it was just like, yeah, you're gonna have to get rid of all of your manga books that you have collected over time, all the anime, all the music. If it's not Christian, then you don't get to have it. And that was including the things that weren't anime. Because I mean, like Inuyasha, they straight up say demon in the show, so obviously that would be one of them triggering points. But even like things with monsters in it was just seen as bad, and I absolutely hated that because I like monsters. Okay, I have always liked monsters. I like things that look other than human and not quite like animals. I like monstrous things that may not necessarily look appealing because, humans have to have everything look human in order for it to be beautiful, which I think is fucking stupid. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that was devastating for me because I was just like, I'm about to lose everything that I absolutely love about this world, and I have nothing. I have no control over my life. I can't say no to anything anyone ever asks me to do. And all I have is my escape through books and anime and music. And the funny thing is like at this point I had never even had my own room. So I was always in the space of other people. I had no way of having any sort of alone time outside of going to the damn bathroom. So to not only like have zero privacy outside of, bathroom activities, but to be put in a position where the only means for me pretending that nobody else existed around me was being taken, even to books, which it took me a long time as a kid to even want to read. I absolutely hated reading. But I finally found some books that I actually liked to read. And some of them were kind of weird and dark, but I really liked them. But yeah, that's another bit of church trauma that was dumped on me. And I was just like, you know what, fine. If you're gonna take these things away from me, I don't want to be here anymore. And I was like, you know what? Why the hell was I even created if I can't even enjoy what's on this earth? So we're not supposed to enjoy anything on this earth, but we're created to be on this earth. Like, there is no point. There is no point to existence if I can't enjoy existence. It was like so dumb to me because it's just like, why create a people to be sentient and to be able to have choices if you're just gonna force your choice onto them anyway, otherwise they get punished? That's not a real choice. And then on top of that, like, you have all these wonderful things in this world that we can't even experience because, actually enjoying something is a sin. And everything is demonic, but who gets to decide what's demonic and what's not? And who gets to tell you whether something demonic is bad? And I was probably the most annoying person in, like, the most annoying kid in any of the Bible studies and stuff because I kept asking these fucking questions. And it got to the point where I just had to be quiet because, I would get in trouble. So, yeah, that's part two of church trauma.